The center, number 52, numéro 52, Al Wilson. Left guard, garde à gauche, numéro 65, number 65, Gerald Roper. Right guard, garde à droite, numéro 54, number 54, Glenn Leonard. Left tackle, bloqueur à gauche, numéro 63, number 63, Ron Swafford. Right tackle, bloqueur à droite, numéro 68, number 68, John Blaine. Slot back, demi-inséré numéro 71, number 71, Jacques Chapdelaine. Slot back, demi-inséré, numéro 21, number 21, John Pancras. Wide receiver, allié espacé, numéro 3, number 3, Mark Debris. Wide receiver, allié espacé, numéro 24, number 24, Mervyn Fernandez. Fullback, le demi, numéro 34, number 34, Ray Strong. Running back, le demi, numéro 20, number 20, John Henry White. Quarterback, le quart, numéro 9, number 9, Roy Gawon. The head coach, l'entraîneur-chef, Don Matthews. Ses adjoints, the assistant coaches, and the rest of the BC Lions, et tous les autres joueurs des Lions.
Now approaching center field are the captain. Cedric Minter and Dan Perot. And for the BC Lions, co-captains Roy DeWalt, Al Wilson, Glenn Jackson, Joe Paupau, and Louis Pasaglia.
Gentlemen, would you introduce yourselves, please? Your choice. Mr. Minter, what's your choice? Toronto has chosen to receive. BC, which end will defend this end? Thanks very much, gentlemen.
The Argonauts have won the coin toss, and the referee is now signaling that Toronto team has elected to receive, and the BC Lions elected to defend the east end.
Baker, Canada's First Lady of Country Music and a 3-time Juno Award winner, will sing the national anthem this afternoon. Escorted to midfield by David Holtzman, an assistant with Expo 86. Truly a great moment for the Canadian Football League. Of Grey Cup champagne. For one team, the drought will be over 3 hours from now. This is Grey Cup 83 from BC Play.
Right here. Tell you what, the noise level is something else here at BC Place. The fans, well, they know the BC Lions are the favorite team here. All right, let's set it up for you. That is Louis Pasaglia. Undoubtedly the top kicker in the Canadian Football League this year. And standing back at the 5-yard line are Jeff Townsend and Carl Braisley. Both can fly. Townsend, a Canadian boy from the Toronto area. He has blinding speed. This is Braisley from his 4-yard line. Braisley is out over the 40 to the 42-yard line, and let's set up that Toronto Argonaut offense for you. This is the way they will line up. Conrad Holloway will be the quarterback for the Argos, has the fewest interceptions in the CFL. Cedric Minter will get most of the load running the football, and these are the great receivers led by Terry Greer, who set 2 CFL records this year. Offensively on the line, tell us about him, Lee.
Well, Tony Atunovic starting at the center. They've got 2 excellent tackles, Tom Trefo and John Malinowski. I think they'll do a good job giving Holloway that protection.
One thing about this ball club, Conrad Holloway buys an awful lot of time for himself. Even if the blocking does break down, he has not got a great rushing statistic, but he buys that time to throw the football. Very, very important factor.
Well, he sure does, Frank. So many quarterbacks in the league able to do so. I think, on the other hand, Roy DeWalt is able to do that as well for the BC Lions.
From the 43-yard line is where the Argonauts will start. They set up the screen, but the intended receiver was knocked down. Rick Klassen was the one who applied the pressure, but let's look at that defensive unit of the British Columbia Lions. Well, they go with Mac Moore, who led them in quarterback sacks this year, 78 and 79. Reuben Vaughn at the 2 defensive tackle spots with Brent Brissett and Rick Klassen, a couple of Canadians at the end position. It is 2nd and 10, Toronto from the 43. one is picked out by Larry Crawford.
Larry Crawford, as he has been doing all season, comes up with a big play on Toronto's initial series. You know, Conrad Holloway doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, but boy, they got some ball hawks in that secondary.
As Pat has mentioned, he's the experienced quarterback, but he looked nervous throwing that first one.
He sure did, as the Lions start from the Toronto 53-yard line. DeWalt's first pass is no good, looking for Ray Strong coming out of the backfield.
I tell you what, Roy DeWalt looked a little nervous on that throw, too. Very tentative in his release to Ray Strong.
You know, Pat, we should cover one point when the BC Lions get on defense again. They have only one really healthy linebacker. We talked about that briefly before. They are bringing in 7 defensive backs on passing situations. I think the Argonauts will do that once in a while themselves.
Well, let's see what DeWalt does on 2nd and 10 from the Toronto 53. Fires over the head of Mark DeBreeze, the intended receiver. And again, DeWalt looked a little bit shaky on that delivery.
I think we talked about the Toronto Argonauts playing a very standard defense, not firing a lot of linebackers. They came with only their front 4 that time, and I anticipate they'll do that quite often until they get picked apart, at least.
Well, they've been very conservative in the last few games of the season, Frank, relying on that front 4 to apply pressure. Of course, that time, though, Roy DeWalt had plenty of time to throw. Just a bad pass.
They're not booing. They're saying Lou, because Bisaglia is into punt on 3rd and 10 with Cedric Minter and Carl Brazeley back to return it. He angles it toward the sideline, and it goes out of bounds, and we will wait for the placement. They'll spot it around the 18-yard line, and that's where the Argos will take over. They were fortunate after the interception that BC was unable to move the football. All right, let's take a look at that defensive unit of the British Columbia Lions. This is the way they'll line up. We mentioned that it's Vaughn and Moore at the tackle spots. The linebacking core, this is what Riggs was telling us about. Because of the injuries, there's been a real reshuffling of the alignment. And there's the secondary. Toronto first down at their 18-yard line. This is Cedric Minter. And Minter did a good job to duck underneath the initial intended tackler and get out to about the 23-yard line. Glenn Jackson was there to bring him down, number 37.
Just a great job they did on Mac Moore there, who's been the outstanding defensive tackle on the inside for the BC Lions. I think he puts as good a pressure as any interior lineman, Leaf.
Pickup was 6 yards. It is 2nd and 4. Holloway's pass is complete to Tolbert. He has the first down to the 32-yard line. Mel Bird was there to bring him down, number 10. That's the first down of the football game, and it comes via the aerial route, Holloway to Tolbert.
But I'll tell you, that's a good play selection by Holloway right there. He knows BC is going to be in that zone coverage. They're afraid of Terry Greer and Tolbert. He floods the area. Tolbert makes the catch. He picked up that initial first down.
Toronto has possession at their 33-yard line. Holloway to Tolbert, but the ball hit the ground first. Rick Klassen applied good pressure for the Lions.
And you know, the important thing he did, Pat, when he came in there, he kept that leverage so that Holloway had to step up to the inside. They do not want to let Conrads get out.
Well, he sure is that extra dimension that the Argonaut offense has. If things are disrupted downfield, his ability to scramble and run with the football is exceptional.
JoJo Heath and Kerry Parker are the corners. If they were going to pick on anybody, it would be Heath. The pass is caught by Palisetti, and the big fullback has the first down, crossing the 45 to the 47. Nelson Martin, the Seneca College graduate, was there to bring him down.
I'll tell you what, John Palisetti does not handle the football too often, but they had man-to-man coverage. Cedric Minter picked off his man trying to cover Palazetti. I'll tell you what, that's an easy first down when you can fix that guy covering you.
Hey, he was blocking the line while the ball was still in the air.
Boy, no question about that.
The gain was 14 yards. Make it first down, Toronto, at their 46.5-yard line. Holloway looking for Paul Pearson, but when he was high in the air, Nelson Martin came through and upended him. Again, Rick Klassen put pretty good pressure on the Toronto quarterback. We've played 4.5 minutes of this opening quarter. There is still no score. Both offenses looking just slightly jittery. Jan Carinci goes into the ball game in place of John Palazetti.
And trouble for the BC Lions. The partially injured Glenn Jackson, the outstanding star for the last 7 or 8 years of the BC Lions, is hurt once again. They've been very concerned about that. And Pat, we made the point already. They've really got a weakness in that linebacking spot. McNeil's going to come in to replace him, but he's hurt coming into this ball game as well.
McNeil, of course, was the middle linebacker who was banged up after that victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last weekend. And so he comes in, and he'll play the middle now. And Kevin Konar will move outside.
I tell you, every second and long, they've been bringing in that extra defensive back. This time they haven't. Let's see if they come with the blitz.
2nd and 10, Toronto. And Holloway was hit by Konar and McNeil short of the first down at the Toronto 51-yard line.
Konar just did an outstanding job on that play. I think they had a little bit of a delay pattern on the right side. I believe it was Minder stepping up there. Holloway wanted to try and find him, but Kev's not only stayed home, but got in on the tackle after covering him.
Boy, hit it. And you know, Frank, when Holloway had to run, once again, like you mentioned, he had to run up the middle. That's where he's going to find a heck of a lot of tacklers in a hurry.
They're to let him outside.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Larry Crawford is the only man back for the Lions. He stands at his 5-yard line as Hank Olisic is punting for Toronto. High twisting spiral that Crawford takes at his 13. Well, he almost slipped through there, but was brought down at the 18-yard line. That's where the Lions will have the ball when we come back. Our telecast of Grey Cup 83 resumes in a moment.
Excitement. Nobody.
He's the head coach of the BC Lions, and he's got a tremendous amount of pressure on his mind today. His 3 sons were involved in a car accident last night. 2 of them are in hospital here in Vancouver. Well, there's Roy DeWalt, who brings his BC Lions up over the ball at the British Columbia 18-yard line. And they're going to run the football, giving it to Ray Strong. And Strong gets maybe to the 20-yard line for a pickup of a couple. Let's take a look at that receiving brigade of the British Columbia Lions. And there are some great ones there, led by Swervin Mervin Fernandez. 3 touchdowns last week against Winnipeg. He can break it at any time. Al Wilson anchors that fine offensive line. So it is 2nd and 8. DeWalt puts it in there to Fernandez for a first down at the 30-yard line. William Mitchell, number 39, the linebacker, made the hit.
Highlight. Well, Mervin Fernandez, what a dangerous receiver he is. Toronto, not double coverage or anything, just back in a simple zone coverage. And I tell you, a fellow of his ability can read those open seams. Good delivery that time by Roy DeWalt.
Green kind of laid off him a fair distance late.
Boy, he sure did.
It is first down, BC at their 31-yard line. The pass is complete to John Henry White. And White is brought down by William Mitchell, but it's another British Columbia first down at their 44-yard line.
A great Argonaut linebacker, William Mitchell, on that side providing the defense, but that's what you want to do, get those backs out of that backfield against the linebackers.
Pickup was 13 yards. It is first down, British Columbia at their 44. And now both teams seeming to get into the flow of the game.
Here comes the blitz.
And DeWalt unloads it to Fernandez one-on-one with Green. Green did a very good job to bring him down. First down, BC.
amount of room, they'll be able to go down the field using that pattern on every play. Green is giving him 10, 12 yards from that line of scrimmage. He's a little scared of him.
3 for 5 in passing as we take a look at Fernandez against Green.
Sorry we can't get our telestrator working because it sure had big pressure against the BC quarterback that time, DeWalt.
The ball
7 Argonauts coming in there.
Ball is at the Toronto 50-yard line. First down, Lions. And on the draw, they give it to Ray Strong. A flag comes down as Richard Moore and Nicholson combined on the tackle.
It's going to be a holding call against the Lions, I'm sure.
So referee Lauren Woods brings it back to the BC 50-yard line.
Holding. BC 54. First down repeated.
That's the right offensive guard, Glenn Leonard, number 54. So it's 1st and 20, British Columbia back at their 50-yard line. We've played exactly 8 minutes of this football game. It is scoreless. And DeWalt is sacked by Richard Moore. And in there, too, was James Curry, the defensive end. The 2 ends just sandwiched them.
You know, Pat, the Argonauts were last in the league in quarterback sacks this year. They have to change up. They came with the blitz that time, got excellent pressure on Roy DeWalt, came up with the sack.
That was simply man-to-man. They beat both of the big offensive tackles of the Lions.
So it'll be 2nd down, 32 yards to go. The ball at the British Columbia 38. DeWalt unloads the middle screen to Strong, but he is brought down as he gets to the 42-yard line by William Mitchell. Number 39, Franklin King, put good pressure on the BC quarterback. The Argo defense, which is the most improved part of their ball club, looks like this. Moore and Curry are the 2 ends with Wilson and King at the tackle spots. There are the fine linebackers when they use the 3 linebackers, but they do bring in that 6th back. And there is that secondary of the Argos as Louis Pasaglia will be punting.
Boy, that penalty so critical, Frank. It appeared as though the Lions were moving. Now they have to give it up.
We're going to have no flag. Graisley with the return is forced out at the 33-yard line. There was no question that Jan Carinci ran into the BC kicker. You can hear the reaction of the crowd. It is still scoreless. Grey Cup 83 from BC Place returns in a moment.
Lou Pasaglia is being worked on at the sidelines. This is why. Just a tremendous effort to control that football, but he was certainly hit while his foot was still in the air.
Yeah, that was number 27, Jan Carinci, who came in and got the shot on Pasaglia, but he appears as though he's all right.
So the Argos will start now from their 33-yard line. We have played 9.5 minutes of this scoreless first quarter. And Kerry Greer is flanked out against JoJo Heath. They put the trips out on that side. And going deep for Tolbert just off his fingertips. Mac Moore had tremendous pressure on Conrad Holloway.
Well, there you get a look. Emmanuel Tolbert breaking free downfield. Unfortunately, Holloway overthrew him. I think that was the planned play, faking that quick screen to Townsend. And boy, Tolbert, he was in behind that coverage.
So it goes as an incompleted pass and brings up 2nd and 10. Toronto at their 33-yard line. Look at that. Only 5 interceptions for Conrad Holloway this past season. They set the screen up. And this is Minter. Minter crosses the 40 to about the 43-yard line, and they'll be very close to a first down. Brian?
Pat, as a team, the Argos were very low in quarterback sacks. Defensive end Rick Moore, have you changed anything today?
No, we're playing our straight vanilla defense right now. This is for all the marbles, Ryan, and we know what it's worth to us, and we're just playing like we've never played before. It's the last game of the year for everybody, and we're just going for it. Hi, Mom.
Well, they have brought the chains out, and you see that the Argos are the better part of a yard short. It brings up third down, and they will not gamble on their side of midfield as Hank Olisic and the punting unit goes in. Rough Rider pride. There's your friend.
That's my old pal, the Flame there. I love when he shoots his head off with that cannon there. That's all right. You'll end up with a haircut like yours, Pat.
I think there's a lot of people in Vancouver have been doing that this week.
Hank Olisic will be booting to Crawford and Heath, who await back at the 25 and 20-yard lines, respectively. This one is sky high, and Crawford takes it at the 24. Gets out over the 30 to about the 31 or 32-yard line. A swarm of Argos down there, Steve Delcole among them, number 75. And the Lions, who had problems their last series of downs because of a holding penalty and then the sack, take over. You can see that both defenses are dominating the opening part of this ball game. Just 42 yards for Toronto, 35 for the Lions. We've got 4 minutes and 5 seconds left to play in this opening scoreless first quarter. DeWalt to John Henry White. And White is over the 35 to about the 39-yard line. Darrell Wilson, number 13, was there to bring him down.
I think you're going to see Roy DeWalt do a lot of that this afternoon. If the Argonauts are going to play conservatively on defense and just drop those linebackers, you've got to throw to those backs coming out of the backfield, and you're picking up good yardage on first down. He got 7 that time.
Glenn Leonard appeared to be shaken up, but he stays in the ball game at right guard on this 2nd and 3. This is Ray Strong. He has the first down, and Strong is out very close to midfield. The slashing running of Ray Strong, the newcomer who has only played the last 5 or 6 games.
What a great move to the outside, right at the line of scrimmage. Watch this.
Well, they had number 74, James Curry, pinching down, and Ray Strong read that, broke it outside.
Very similar to the type of running that James Sykes was successful with against the Lions in the Western Final.
First down.
That outside.
From the 54-yard line, DeWalt's pass is cut by Fernandez. He is hit immediately by Marcellus Green, and he is within inches of another BC first down.
Leith are trying to double cover Fernandez, but not doing it very successfully so far. Darrell Wilson underneath him is quite far off. DeWalt slips that ball over his head.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing difficult about that. If the Argonaut defense is going to allow Fernandez to do that, as I said earlier, they could just move down the field.
They look like they're more concerned about him going deep and letting him have those 10, 12-yard out patterns.
Well, let me tell you, if I watched that game film from last week, I might be concerned about that, too.
Good point.
Roy DeWalt came over and saw that the Lions are just inches short of the first down. He's been good on 6 of 8 passes so far in this opening quarter.
Now, here's a great situation. 2nd and short yardage. Of course, Roy DeWalt can do almost anything on this play. Maybe we can look for a little deception with that deep pass to Fernandez.
Well, they bring the short yardage offense in. Warner Miles and Dennis Guaven. On 2nd and just inches to go with the ball inside the Toronto 46-yard line. 2:16 left to play in this opening first quarter, and it is scoreless.
Waist down.
And he's got him too. If the ball is there, touchdown Fernandez. Pretty play. A touchdown strike of 46 yards from Roy DeWalt to Mervyn Fernandez, and Leif, you called it. Point after by Pasaglia is good. And with 2 minutes and 4 seconds left to play in this great facility known as BC Place, the Lions are out in front 7-0. We'll be back from Vancouver.
He simply outruns the coverage by Leroy Paul and Ken McEachran. What a big play for the Lions. This crowd is going crazy.
7-0 BC. Pasaglia with the kickoff. Carl Braisley at his 5-yard line. And Braisley dives out to about the 26. Let's go to Al McCann.
I've got Mervyn Fernandez with me. He got 3 last Sunday and a big one there, Merv, on 2nd and short. Are you running into a double team situation?
Oh, yeah, they were in a double team situation at that time, and the safety just got over a little too late.
Big play to you guys because it's been a real defensive struggle.
Well, we're going to need more than one, and we still got a whole game to play, and we just got to keep going the way we are.
Mervyn is right. We've got a minute 45 seconds still to play in this opening quarter. The Argos now trail by 7. The screen is set up for Terry Greer. And Greer gets out over the 35, and the big block there was by Conrad's Holloway to allow him to reverse his field.
How about that for a hit? He went all the way to the other side of the field.
Well, this isn't the way it was drawn up, I'm sure, but he does pick up over 9 yards.
Excellent job defensively by the Lions where the ball was supposed to go.
You know, it's interesting. It just shows the talents of the players on the field today. Mervyn Fernandez on that great touchdown. And Terry Greer, they really should have lost yardage. He ends up making a little better than 9 yards on that play.
The ball is right at the 36-yard line of the Argonauts. They are second and about a half yard to go. The give is to Mitter. Mitter will have the first down. Well, that quiets the crowd momentarily, but this place just exploded with a cacophony sound with that great pass from Roy DeWalt. Let's take a look at it one more time because it was just such a magnificent throw by Roy DeWalt and a letter-perfect catch.
Well, that's what happens when you get those second and short situations. You can do so many things. The Lions really took advantage.
First down, Toronto at their 38-yard line. Holloway's pass is caught inbounds by Jeff Townsend at the Toronto 54-yard line.
JoJo Heath got there just in time. JoJo Heath was very close to coming over and knocking that down or picking it off. Conrad once again bought some time for himself by rolling out to the left.
And Heath is just momentarily shaken up on the play. The pickup was 17 yards.
You know, Pat and Riggs, the Argonauts really have an interesting offensive philosophy. Most teams and teams I was with used to look at defenses and analyze them and try and exploit the areas that they felt those defenses were vulnerable. The Argonauts, on the other hand, say, listen, we've got a diversified offense. I'm not going to worry about what the defense does. You've got to try and stop us. You know, another thing, Frank, if I was the BC defensive coordinator, that's the guy right there I'd want to have to beat me is number 30, Jeff Townsend. Let's stop Terry Greer, Cedric Minter, and Tolbert. Make them beat us with Pearson and Townsend. Maybe that's what the Argonauts are going to have to do.
Billy McBride will come in to replace JoJo Heath on the right corner of that British Columbia defense. Let's see now if Holloway will try to test him early. And this should be the final play of the opening quarter. This is Mitter. Mitter crosses into British Columbia territory where Mac Moore, number 78, brings him down after a pickup of 2 or 3. So we have come to the end of the first quarter of play. British Columbia out in front of Toronto 7-0. Grey Cup 83 continues after this. At the second quarter of play, and the situation is 2nd and 8. Argos at the BC 54. And Holloway is sacked by Brent Brissett and Reuben Bond. Well, let's take a look and show you what happened in the first half. Our CompuStats indicate that the Lions on that 46-yard touchdown strike have really jumped out in front in the statistical department, 113 yards to 71. But far more important, they lead on the scoreboard 7-0.
Once again, the BC Lions just playing a very straight defense, bringing their front four, not shooting linebackers, whatever, but they were able to put the pressure on Holloway. But Leaf, I really think the credit for that on that particular play was because of the defensive backs. They just had everybody covered. Conrad's had nowhere to go with the football.
Well, they're a very active group. They've got a lot of speed in that secondary. But, you know, as we see Brent Reset being attended to on the field, I think it's interesting. Talk around the town so much this week about Toronto being the favorite in this game. Boy, BC Lions have come out storming.
The interesting part about that point, Leaf, is that the betting line apparently favored the BC Lions by 3 points, but almost the entire media has picked the Toronto Argonauts. That may be bad luck for them.
Brent Reset walks off the field, and he is a former Toronto Argonaut. They are jammed in here at BC Place. Every seat, of course, has been sold. And on that play, I'm not sure that Conrad Holloway wasn't shaken up a little bit as he talks to the training staff on the Argo sidelines as JoJo Heath and Larry Crawford drop back to receive this punt from Hank Olisic. Boy, he hangs it high. This is Heath at his 17-yard line. And he gets to about the 19, not much further. Darrell Nicholson was first down, number 72, to make the tackle.
Joe Barnes is warming up on the sideline, so you may well be right, Pat. Although Holloway is right up talking to Bob Ovilovich, his head coach. There's Joe on the sideline, trying to get that arm loose.
Well, there's no question about it that the Argos don't suffer that much when Barnes comes into the ball game. But let's watch the Lions now, who begin from their 20-yard line, leading at 7-0. DeWalt to Fernandez, but it just bounced off his fingertips. Trying to set up that flanker screen the Argos used so successfully with Terry Greer, but Fernandez forgot to catch it.
You could probably remember that play also from the Western semifinal when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers just ate up the Edmonton Eskimos with a play very similar to that.
Well, I tell you, it's such a quick play. All you need is just a partial block with one of these fleet-footed wide receivers, and they can pick up a lot of yardage.
2nd and 10, Lions from their 20. DeWalt, the play is broken up by Leroy Paul. The intended receiver was Mark DeBreeze.
Well, that's an excellent job by Leroy Paul, but so too Mark DeBreeze has got to work back to the quarterback. You've got to try and keep that gap between yourself and the defensive back. Leroy Paul, an Eastern All-Star this season, just does a good job fighting through to break up that play. Oh, that's good defense.
So Louis Pasaglia will be punting on 3rd and 10. The Argos have Carl Brazeley and Cedric Minter back.
Boy, they're giving him a little respect, too. Minter's all the way back to his own 35-yard line.
This will be Brazeley at the 54. And he only gets a couple because Mark DeBreeze was down very quickly to nail him. But when we come back, the Argos, who trail 7-0, will have possession in BC territory. Grey Cup 83 from BC Place in Vancouver returns in a moment.
Trainer Freddie Dunbar says Holloway has a minor bruise on his left arm, the left elbow, but it's nothing serious, and he is back in the game.
Well, thank you, Brian. Ron Cherkis, number 66, has come in to play the right defensive end for the Lions in place of the injured Brent Reset, as the Argos, trailing 7-0, begin from the BC 54-yard line. We're just underway in the second quarter.
Comes Mac Moore.
Rick Klassen was there with great pressure from Mac Moore.
Just a little dealing in there from the defensive end and defensive tackle point of view, and it was Mac Moore that chased Holloway up there to where Klassen could actually get credit for the sack. Watch number 78 coming at the bottom of your screen. I'd get out of his way, too.
Well, I sure would. At this point, though, Frank, that defensive front four of the BC Lions is dominating that offensive line.
Outstanding job. I think that's the feature so far in the first quarter and a bit. The Lion defense has just been outstanding.
It is 2nd and 14. Toronto back at their 52. Holloway going deep for Tolbert, and it was very nearly picked off by Larry Crawford.
Boy, triple coverage.
Really was. We've mentioned that the BC Lions secondary has done a good job here in the first half. Holloway totally frustrated as Melvin Bird is right on the hip of Emmanuel Tolbert. Watch Larry Crawford come through. He should have had this interception. Would have been his second. But you know, sorry, Pat, Conrad Holloway has to be a little frustrated at this point. He's not getting that good protection, and the secondary of the BC Lions has really been solid. No breakdowns in their secondary.
Well, let's see if the Lions come after Hank Olisic now, because they only have one punt returner back. That's Larry Crawford. And now they've got a flag down, a time count violation against Toronto.
You know, Pat, you would think it was the BC Lions that were experienced as far as being in Grey Cup games. The Argonauts, of course, were the finalists in 1982, but they have been making the rookie mistakes.
Violation. Toronto number 8. 3rd down repeated.
So we'll repeat the 3rd down. They never did get the snap off. And again, the Lions have only Larry Crawford deep. They look like they're going to come after this. They do. And Olisic just gets it away. Crawford from his 12-yard line. And he steps up just as it appeared as though that sideline was going to open up for him.
He can do it all, number 28. Larry Crawford, excellent defensive back, but so dangerous on those punt returns.
That punt by Olisic, with everybody coming, traveled 51 yards, and so the Lions start from their 19-yard line. They lead the ball game 7-0. We've got 11 minutes, 5 seconds left to play in this first half. Fernandez comes out against Leroy Paul. DeWalt unloads it at the last moment to Ray Strong, and Strong gets to the 24-yard line. It looked like DeWalt was looking for Fernandez.
Had a lot of time initially.
And then finally, Richard Moore did put some pressure on him, and DeWalt was forced to unload it. Picked up 5 yards, so it brings up 2nd and 5 at the 24-yard line. Strong was a little bit high. He went up to try and get it, and then Carl Braisley came through. Let's go to Al McCann.
Well, Pat, former UBC star Brent Rissette's out for a moment, the defensive end. Recurrence of that old pinched nerve again, Brent, eh?
Yeah, this is the 4th time, like I was saying earlier on, but being the excitement of the Grey Cup, I know I'll be back in there.
Say, your defensive plan looks pretty sturdy so far.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? A lot better than it did the last time we played these guys. Things keep up the way they are. I think we're going to have a good game. We just got to keep on playing intensity and play disciplined football.
I hope you get back in.
I will, too. I mean, you too. Thank you very much.
Saglia gets it away, and Braisley on the run takes it at the 52. And has no place to run as he is forced out at the 55-yard line. We've got 9 minutes and 44 seconds left to play in this first half. It is 7-0, BC leading Toronto. This is Grey Cup 83 from Vancouver. Terry Greer. And Greer is into the 30-yard line. The biggest play of the afternoon for the Toronto Argonauts. Big block by Dan Ferroni, number 69, to spring the speedy Terry Greer.
Well, we talked about that quick screen to the wide receivers. They do not need much of a block to set these guys free. That could be the offensive play that gets the Argonauts on track.
Well, I'll tell you, you got to get that football to Greer a number of times during the ball game. Look at the speed. That's what breaks football games up for you.
From the 31-yard line of BC, the Argos take over again. Holloway's pass to Greer is out of bounds.
Well, I'll tell you what, Pat, that just was not a good throw. That's not the Conrad Holloway we've seen earlier in the year. He's usually able to throw that ball in there a lot quicker than that, waiting for Terry Greer to get open. I'm a little surprised at Conrad Holloway's performance here in the first half so far.
We've got 8 minutes, 44 seconds left to play in the second quarter as Carinci brings a play in from the sideline. John Palazetti comes out. 2nd and 10. Holloway is down to the 11-yard line. Well, that's the dimension we talked about with both these quarterbacks, but Holloway sure showed you the kind of speed he has.
Well, they kept leverage on him, Pat, to the outside, but they didn't get to him for so long that he finally snuck up inside of Ron Turkus, number 66, moved all the way down to the 11-yard line.
The pickup was 20 yards. It is 1st and 10, Toronto at the BC 10.5.
It looked like he had an awful lot of room to move to his left side, either to run that football or throw it in that end zone.
Well, Frank, I think this is an adjustment Holloway is going to have to make. If things are not open initially, he's going to have to just run for it. You see him there, he's waiting and waiting and waiting, and he's going to get sacked when that happens.
We couldn't see it really well, but he had absolutely no pressure from his backside.
No, he's going to have to take off and run in those situations.
The ball is back to the 14-yard line. They've got to get inside the 1 for a first down. The screen. This is Carinci. Touchdown, Toronto.
What a perfect setup. That's number 6.
He's got to be a happy fella. Carinci was out with a knee problem earlier, just came back 2 weeks ago.
Well, they set up the screen so well. Good block by number 44, Mike Hamiluk, on Bernie Clear to spring Jan Carinci into the end zone. The Argonauts have finally started to put something together.
They had everybody out there. Ferroni, Hamiluk, Antunovic.
Hank Olisic missed only 1 point after all season long as he tries to tie the football game. And he does. Well, we've got 6 minutes and 50 seconds left to play in this first half. It is all tied up, Toronto and British Columbia. Arkello traveled 55 yards in 5 plays. This is the touchdown by Jan Carinci.
That drive was certainly a Conrad Holloway drive. He took off for 19 yards with the football and set that screen up perfectly.
So now the BC Lions prepare to receive the kickoff from Hank Olisic.
Boy, he hit it.
He got a great one. It bounces off the crossbar. Automatic dead ball. It bounced right off the crossbar. So that tells you the kind of leg he's got.
How about that? A 65-yard field goal that doesn't count.
Yeah, you know, he ought to get some kind of points for that effort. He split the uprights. Let's have a look. Right in the absolute middle.
So the ball will come to the 25-yard line, and that's where the Lions will now begin. We are all tied up at 7 points apiece with 6 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in the first half. That's Fernandez on the right side and Mark DeBreeze on the left. And they set the center screen up to John Henry White, but the middle linebacker, Darrell Nicholson, was there very quickly to stop him after a gain of maybe 2.5. Let's go to Brian Williams.
Jay and Carinci, it's the first time you've been able to make the football other than blocking. Did they make any changes?
No changes at all. All that's happened is either we have a breakdown, offensive line breakdown, a quarterback breakdown, or a receiver breakdown. That was the first drive we had where everybody was doing what they're supposed to do. We're not going to make any changes. They know what we do. They're going to have to go and stop it. That's all it's doing. Hi, Mom, Dad, in Toronto. Hello to everybody. Manny, Merrill.
DeWalt unloads to Ray Strong. And on his own, Strong picks up the first down. Carl Brazeley finally brings him down at the 41.
Well, that's a good job of running the football by a guy who basically was a specialty teams captain in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. He has been an outstanding running back since coming to the BC Lions in the latter part of the season. Watch what he does with the football after the reception.
Big move coming up on number 72, Darrell Nicholson, the middle linebacker. Nice run.
Gain of 13. First down, BC. The ball outside their 40-yard line. They set up the middle screen again to John Henry White. And Brazeley is there to bring him down at midfield.
Pat and Frank, we're well into the second quarter now. Both teams have had a chance to see each other's defenses. Well, they're taking advantage of them.
Well, there's what the outstanding players in this game are going to receive. Compliments of Carly O'Keefe. Three of them to be awarded to the top player, top defensive player, and top Canadian. The Walsh pass is complete to DeBreeze. And he steps out very close to another first down. Impressive drive by the Lions. There's the crazy one.
Pat, the Toronto Argonauts defensive linebackers have been getting really deep there, and that's why you've seen the BC Lions throwing short those little delay screens. Now they're trying to take advantage of it to the outside.
DeWalt has completed 12 of 17 for 149 yards and now finds himself with a 2nd and 2 situation at the Toronto 47-yard line. Toronto 7, British Columbia 7. The Lions are on the move. The give is to John Henry White. And John Henry, with his own impetus, crosses the 45 into the 44 for a first down. James Curry was there to make the stop for Toronto. Premier Bennett from British Columbia, and Frank, as a good friend of yours, I know that he was greatly responsible for the success of getting this BC place up.
Well, he did exactly what a politician had to do. He ignored a lot of the objections and said, let's build it. And he did.
And congratulations to him. The Walsh pass is dropped by Mark DeBreeze.
Sign of a young receiver, Leaf. You know this very well. Jumping up when he really didn't have to. The ball was thrown extremely well.
You're absolutely right, Frank. Should have come up with that catch.
But doesn't, and so it is 2nd and 10 Lions at the Toronto 44-yard line. We've got 3.5 minutes left to play in this second quarter. Fernandez has it at the 30. Fernandez made the catch, slipped away from Marcellus Green, and gets to the 20-yard line.
Well, Pat, nothing difficult about this. Once again, in second and long situations, the Argos remain in that zone defense. A fellow like Mervyn Fernandez, time and time again, will find that open spot, and that's an easy throw for Roy DeWalt as well.
First down, Lions at the Toronto 20. Pass goes incomplete, intended for John Pancratz. So it'll be second down, BC. When we come back, it is all tied up at 7 points apiece. This is Grey Cup 83 from Vancouver. Second and 10, BC at the Toronto 20. So we'll just simply say that John Henry White outfought Leroy Paul for the football.
Well, he sure did. In a game of this importance, you have to come up with the big play. John Henry White, just a tremendous catch high in the air. He really takes this ball away from Leroy Paul. What a catch.
We saw him breaking to the outside and then going deep into the end zone to get behind William Mitchell, the linebacker. And as you said, he just took the football away from him.
Well, Roy DeWalt, he must have confidence in his receivers and running backs because he just put that ball really up for grabs. He was counting on John Henry White coming up with the big play. He sure did.
Here comes the wave at BC Place.
There's the scoring drive. 85 yards in 9 plays, and everybody around BC Place takes their respective turn in standing up as Basaglia's kickoff, angled toward the sidelines, goes out of bounds.
Lou not very happy with that kick.
He kind of shanked that one, but Frank, you know what we should talk about is that Toronto defense. They are playing it straight every down. They're giving no new looks to Roy DeWalt whatsoever. I think you've got to try and upset the rhythm of the quarterback, and they're just not doing that.
You're absolutely right. Roy does get a little pressure from Curry there, but he has the ability to get to the outside and just pick out John Henry White. John Henry, you know, I thought Minter would be more of a factor in this ball game coming out of that backfield as a receiver, but Strong and John Henry White have both been very successful. That's Nick Hebler, by the way, standing in front there, the great defensive end that the Lions lost early in the season.
So after the kick out of bounds, Basaglia tees it up at the 40-yard line. Braisley at his 16-yard line. And Braisley gets to the 35, which is where the Argos will take over. Ron Cherkas, number 66, was first down. We've got 2 minutes and 27 seconds left to play in this first half. The BC Lions, playing superbly all aspects of their game, lead the Toronto Argonauts 14-7. Boy, there'll be a party in the old town tonight if the Lions win this one.
You mean another one?
I tell you what, it's been a good party going on here since Wednesday.
First down, Toronto at their 35.
Single coverage on Greer.
Well, he was looking for Paul Pearson, but Melvin Bird was the closest to him as Holloway took a real shot from Rick Klassen. Let's go to Al McCann.
I've got John Henry White. John, I can't believe you were primary receiver on that play, but you made a great catch.
Yeah, what it was a quick pass to me, and they covered the route, so I just turned it and went deep, and I was open.
Roy made a good throw, but you were on a double-team situation when you caught the ball.
Right, but, you know, it was just a thrown in some, hopefully I would caught the ball, and it just happened that way.
Turning out to be a bit of a defensive struggle.
It's a heck of a game, a heck of a defensive game.
Holloway has 2 seconds left to get the play off. Just made it. And down he goes again. Rick Klassen. And
second sack of this first half by Rick Klassen.
Well, it's as simple as this, Frank. They're just doing a heck of a job on defense. They're getting the pressure from the front four. The secondary is so solid this afternoon. Holloway, look, he just has nobody to throw to.
I think he's going to have to throw the ball quicker, a little shorter route. They've established a little more impetus to that offense of the Argonauts.
And run the football a little bit because they're just teeing off and coming at him anyway.
Well, that's a good point, Pat.
Larry Crawford gets to the 41-yard line and then is covered at that point. Well, there's Don Whitman, who'll be with us in the second half. Well, he used to be that size at one point. A minute and 44 seconds left for our part of the party. Boy, we've enjoyed it a lot, and we have certainly enjoyed the performance of the BC Lions.
They still got time to put points on the board, Pat. A minute 44 left in the second quarter.
Pass is complete to Armour. And Leroy Paul was able to finally swing him to the ground, but it's very close to another first down.
That's the kind of thing, like we were talking about, I think the Argonauts have to do. Throw it quickly. Let that receiver do something on his own after he makes a reception.
Well, if you remember the Argonauts last year, their offense has totally changed to this year. There is no more run and shoot, that quick stuff. They've changed it, but Roy DeWalt's doing a good job. He's got that rhythm going, throwing those out patterns. Those are good high percentage passes, and they're going to pick up yards for you.
Speaking of high percentage passes, Pat, I'm sure Roy DeWalt is well over his season average of 62% on completion.
Well, you're right. He's completed 15 of 22 for over 200 yards already in this first half. First down, Lions. DeWalt put it in there neatly to Chapdelaine. Jacques Chapdelaine makes the catch at the Toronto 51.5-yard line.
One of the few times the Argonauts have blitzed here in the first half. BC Lions do a pretty good job at picking him up. Chapdelaine works himself free. Roy DeWalt, good job to get that ball away.
Pickup is very close to 8 yards.
You know, that really was a good play by Roy DeWalt because I think they were trying to screen to the right side. Chapdelaine was not a primary receiver.
Clock is running with 1:20 left to play in the first half. BC leads it 14-7. And this is Ray Strong. Strong puts his head down, looking for the first down yardage, but appears to be just slightly short.
Ray Strong is over.
They bring the chains out once again. This is about the 4th time in this first half that we've had a measurement to see whether or not the club did pick up the first down. And they're short by inches. Well, those are familiar faces. Jake Gador, flanked by the 2 premiers of the respective competing teams, Bill Davis and Bill Bennett. Looking on 3rd and inches for BC. DeWalt keeps it himself and should have the first down as the minute flag goes up.
I thought Bill Bennett was just fabulous at the Premier's luncheon the other day. He said, defensively, we're going to feature restraint throughout the afternoon. And on offense, we have the ability, as everyone in the country knows in BC, to strike quickly.
Well, they've proven that on the field today. The pass is complete to Armour. And Armour gets away from Leroy Paul. And then is finally brought down by William Mitchell.
He's got the great speed.
Well, Ned Armour has world-class speed, and he makes a super move here on Leroy Paul. Leroy Paul's had a pretty tough afternoon. That touchdown pass to John Henry White, Ed Fernandez, both coming in his area. But once again, a good job of Roy DeWalt to keep that rhythm going. Simple, out-battered, picks up good yardage.
37 seconds left to play. First down, BC at the Toronto 26-yard line. The draw to Ray Strong. And Strong slips inside the 25 to about the 24. Brian?
Pat, Joe Barnes is throwing on the sidelines. I asked trainer Freddie Dunbar what's wrong. He says, all I can tell you is if Barnes comes in, it's not because Holloway is hurting.
On 2nd and 8, DeWalt wants to put it up, going to the end zone for Armour. No good. Carl Brazeley was with him step for step.
Everybody here wants an interference call, except that gentleman, of course.
It's Peter Lougheed, the Premier of Alberta, watching with just 26 seconds left to play in this first half, and Louis Pasaglia and the field goal unit comes out onto the field. They'd love to pick up the 3 points here and go to the locker room 10 points ahead, and that's what Pasaglia will endeavor to do.
Boy, they love Louis in BC plays, don't they?
And why not?
Oh. From the 31-yard line, Pasaglia puts it up, and it is good. We will see Joe Barnes come out onto the field with the offensive unit of the Argos, who will take over at the 35. Don Matthews has to be pleased, despite the fact he's got an awful lot on his mind this afternoon.
Do you think maybe he could run for office right now, Pat?
Boy, oh boy.
Well, they've done an excellent job. Good, solid defense in this first half, and they've also been effective on offense, picking up 17 points against a good Toronto Argonaut defense. But I think this is a good move right here. Conrad Holloway just does not have a feel for the game right now. It's a good time to make a switch.
The give is to Minter. And this is what we talked about. If they're going to come on, run the football and let them cross the 40 to about the 43-yard line. Rick Klassen made the stop, but the pickup is about 8 yards.
Well, Pat, you made an excellent point because you have to try and slow down that rush somewhat, use the running game.
Well, there's a good friend of ours, Brian Mulrooney, and his wonderful wife, Mila, taking in what has really been an excellent first half for the Lions. And Minter dives his way out over the 50 to the 52-yard line on what is the final play of the first half. And listen to the crowd. At the end of the first half, it is BC 17, Toronto 7. We'll be back with our halftime show in a moment.
At quarterback, he did not have a good first half. He hit on only 7 of 15. And the net offense for the Toronto Argonauts, 127 yards, as compared to 247 for the BC Lions. Roy DeWalt had a very strong first half, completing 17 of 25 attempts. Leo Cahill, are you surprised at the way things have gone so far?
I really am, Don, because I didn't think that the Argonauts could be beaten that badly physically. Man on man, BC just took them on and really got the best of it. And BC... One more thing, BC really didn't have their whole football team in there as far as the receivers, but they capitalized, went to their backs out of the backfield, a lot of things, and really played well the first half.
Hank Olisic preparing to kick off to get this second half underway. Strong is back, along with Billy McBride. Larry Crawford is in the middle. The ball goes to Strong at the goal line. Strong gets out to 17 and no further. He's brought down there by William Mitchell. John Lancaster, one thing we have witnessed in the past this year from the Toronto Argonauts is the ability to come from behind.
Well, they got a high-powered offense, and when you have a high-powered offense with a lot of big play men, you have that ability. It's just a matter of them doing a little better job blocking.
I think we're going to get a real indication around the early part of this third quarter as to how the game is going to go.
Urban Fernandez wide to the right, Ned Armour to the left. Fernandez the target, he is overthrown. Roy DeWalt had a very hot first half. In contrast to his first half performance last week in the Western Final against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but it was the second half performance where he hit on the 3 bombs to Mervyn Fernandez that helped project the BC Lions into this championship game.
Well, you know, Don, he said before the game he wanted to keep the ball away from the Argonaut defense, and you saw those Compton stats to prove it.
2nd and 10. Ball is at the 18. Armour hangs on at the 25-yard line.
That bobble's going to cost him the first down, though. He had to come back to make the catch.
It's amazing that Ned Armour has seen very limited football action. This is his 9th professional game. And it's a Grey Cup appearance for Ned Armour. He was really a track and field star when he went to school.
I'll tell you the thing I'm impressed about with the BC Lions is their preparation. They've done such an excellent job defensively with a wounded defense, and offensively taking advantage of what's given them. They're giving Fernandez a lot of room on the outside, so they're hitting him short. He'll get a deep one.
Carl Gracely fields the ball at his own 49, and he is forced out of bounds at the 54 of the BC Lions. Forced out by Nelson Martin. Well, we see that Joe Barnes is going to continue where he finished off in the second half as the Toronto Argonaut quarterback. This is one advantage that the Argos do have: 2 experienced and competent signal callers.
Boy, they sure do. And you know how many times the Argonauts have had field position around midfield? They've got to take advantage of it.
1st and 10. The ball just shy of the 55. They ruled that on the punt return he had stepped out there. That screen pass to Cedric Miller, who fumbles the ball. Kevin Kolar has it.
You know, Don, it's almost a carbon copy so far the way the game started. The BC Lions now have got a real opportunity here with that fumble. About a 20-yard gain out there, or I should say a 6-yard gain out there in a minute, but he lets the ball go. And watch Kevin Konar. He takes time and slides down there and makes sure he gets the football. Doesn't try to pick it up or make a rookie mistake, but gets down there and makes sure that he gets it.
Roy DeWalt on 1st down. He's throwing this one out of bounds. That one almost wound up in the stands.
I like this distance. Great distance.
He was being pressured by Rick Moore, and DeWalt, unable to find a receiver in the open, just fired it well over that BC bench and almost up into the stands. Kevin Konar, who scooped up that loose ball, a UBC product, the 1st-round draft choice in 1980. He played in the 1977 and 78 Can-Am Bowl, and there has been some talk about possibly reviving that battle between Canadian and American college stars. On 2nd down, that screen pass to John Henry White, and the Toronto Argonauts read it perfectly that time.
Well, Darryl Nicholson was just waiting on that one.
Well, the one thing that fumble made use of was field position, because with their punt, they ought to be able to do pretty good. As you see John Henry White, a real collision there. But he held on to the football. But again, it's a lot better to be punting the ball and getting the Argonauts down at the other end of the field than it would be stopping them where they had the ball originally.
Lou Pasaglia had a better than a 50-yard punting average this season. I had an interesting conversation with him yesterday. He told me he hit his best kick outside the dome, but there's nothing wrong with this one. He drives it all the way down to about the 9-yard line to Cedric Minter, and he gets back to the 16. So that's where the Toronto Argonauts will be scrimmaging 1st and 10, following that 60-yard kick by Lou Pasaglia.
Having trouble hearing Holloway's count. Thus, they were having to react visually and losing that split second.
Well, that's something they had worked on, trying to signal plays from the slot back to the wideout. Now Joe Barnes in at quarterback, firing the strike to Cedric Minter. That will be a 1st down to the 35. Brought down there by Nelson Martin.
Well, that's a deep throw. It's still deep, Leo. They haven't gone to that short one.
You know, Ronnie, you know yourself that when you get into a crowd noise situation, you just got to go on a quick count.
Watch the ball. That's all you do is watch it.
Back to the live action, 1st and 10. The Argonauts at their own 35. Barnes Barnes looking for Greer. He's got him near midfield. Kerry Parker made the tackle on Terry Greer. The runner-up for the Shenley Award is the country's outstanding ball player.
Well, when you talk about Terry Greer, watch the excellent coverage Kerry Parker has on him. But the ball arrives, he catches it in that left arm. Watch Kerry Parker in great position, but there he is. That's what a great receiver does. He makes the tough ones.
Well, he puts his body position in between the defender and the ball, and there's no way that the defender could get at it without going through him, and that's a penalty.
The most receptions in one game, the most receptions in a season, and the most yards in one season. 3 records for Terry Greer. The pass over the middle for another first down, and this time it's Emmanuel Tolbert as Joe Barnes hits on 3 consecutive passes. 17-7. The Lions lead the Toronto Argonauts with 10:53 remaining in the third quarter.
Joe Barnes was very, very cool. Watch the pressure come up the middle. Konar's on a blitz. Tolbert just finds the hole, and Barnes finds him as he takes a great hit from that defensive line of the Lions.
Joe is just about as sharp as I've seen him in a long time in this first sequence of downs right here.
1st and 10. The Argos on the move. They are at the 41 of the Lions. Barnes throwing deep. Nobody there. Nelson Martin, the safety, had dropped deep into the end zone, and it appeared as though there may have been a miscommunication among the quarterback and the receiver.
That's one time the crowd noise got him. He tried to audible, and they did not get the pattern. They missed it out here.
Well, there's just no way with this crowd noise that you can call automatics. The best you can do until you get things moving, and he did have things moving, but the best you can do is just go on a quick count. Well, they cut off Terry Parker there, and Greer looked like he might have a little room on the inside.
The Lions with an extra defensive back. Billy McBride is in. Glenn Jackson goes to the bench. 2nd and 10, Toronto from the 41. Barnes getting outside to contain. He's going to run with the ball. He'll get the first down. Forced out of bounds by Reuben Vaughn, but some good footwork by the Toronto quarterback to get the first down.
You know, I've watched Joe Barnes play a long time, and there's something about him. He's tough, and he knows it. And watch him now. He has a chance to hit the deck, but he sees that first down marker. Watch him go after it. He is tough.
You know something, we gave Clausen and Rassett a lot of criticism because we didn't think that they were really great defensive ends and that they had to give up contain, but they played great the first half while Rassett was in there before he got hurt. But now if they start giving up that contain, those quarterbacks will get on the outside, and that could be trouble.
1st and 10 from the 27. The strike over the middle. No, they rule it's incomplete. Paul Pearson, the intended receiver, at the 15-yard line.
Joe Barnes would like to have that one back. Cedric Minner went wide open down the field. Nobody covered him at all. He's in the end zone, but they couldn't find him.
Well, even throwing to Pearson as he did, he still hit Pearson right on the numbers, and his completion average has got to be great if the guy just held on to it that time. He hasn't had a bad throw in this third quarter.
Joe Barnes, the 2nd most experienced player in the game as far as Grey Cup appearances go. This is his 5th. Hank Olisic, the punter, is playing in his 7th Grey Cup game. Incomplete. Jeff Townsend was the intended receiver at the 12-yard line. That ball went high in the air after it was deflected off Townsend, but it goes as an incomplete pass. So that will undoubtedly bring Hank Olisic into the ball game to attempt a field goal.
Well, I'm not too sure that on this deflection here, Terry Greer was almost in a position where I don't think he saw it, or I think he could have picked it up on a second-hand shot there.
When you double those outside receivers, the middle has to open, and it did.
Hank Olisic will attempt a field goal from 34 yards out. We watched him in practice yesterday. He was hitting them from 60 yards. The kick is wide. And in the end zone, Crawford is going to run around a little and still stay on his feet before finally conceding the single point. So, with that miss by Hank Olisic from 34 yards out, it's 17-8 now. This is Grey Cup 83 from Toronto. The stadium at BC Place, the site of this year's Grey Cup game, and the folks inside sitting in comfort in shirt sleeves enjoying this game would probably vote unanimously that it should become the permanent site of the Grey Cup game until another facility is constructed somewhere else in Canada. First and 10. The Lions from their own 35. The handoff to John Henry White. He dives out close to the 40-yard line. It will be 2nd and 5, British Columbia. Franklin King made the stop on John Henry White. During a portion of the season, the Lions missed his skills not only as a runner but as a pass receiver when he was sidelined by injury.
Oh, he's one of the key members of that football team when they came into the '83 season, and he's done it all for them this year.
2nd and 5. The ball at the 40. DeWalt fires it over the middle, picked off by Carl Braisley. It was intended for John Henry White, and Carl Braisley timed it perfectly.
Well, Carl timed that thing about as well as you can time it. He saw it coming all the way. And actually, DeWalt, when he went back to pass, saw the receiver break to the inside and just threw to the spot, and Braisley came from about 10 yards. You'll see it. DeWalt throws off the wrong foot and just lets it go in the middle there. Watch Braisley come right up there now, and he just picks it clean.
Braisley read the quarterback well, and when you throw off that back foot leaning backwards, you got no zip on the ball. Great play.
Braisley, who joined the Argos partway through the season from the National Football League, giving Toronto instant field position. There's the screen, the attempt to Carinci. He stopped at the 40-yard line after a pickup of about 2 by Bernie Blair. Rick Clausen has played a strong game on that defensive front for the BC Lions. His most memorable game, I suppose, was in the playoffs a couple of years ago in Winnipeg, where he was converted from offense to defense and was all over Dieter Brock in the Western semifinal.
You know, Ron, you mentioned before that Minter came open. He came open again on that play, and they substituted. They may be going to go to him because twice now in a row he's been wide open coming out of that backfield.
2nd and 8. Throwing deep for Jeff Townsend. Townsend falls, and it's incomplete.
BC set real deep, just set zone defense. You're not going to beat a 4-deep zone deep too often.
The Lions have certainly maneuvered their defensive unit. They have 6, sometimes 7 backs in there.
Boy, their scheme is terrific. They've really done a job of working on the Argonaut offense. And both Conrad Holloway and Joe Barnes look like they're a little bit confused when they go back because the coverage is there.
Hank Alisic missed a few moments ago from 34 yards out. This kick will come from 47 yards away. It's wide again. This time Larry Crawford gets out of the end zone and returns it to about the 12-yard line. Brought down by William Mitchell. So Hank Alisic, who looked so strong yesterday in the final Argonaut preparation, has missed on 2 field goal attempts, one from 34, the other from 47.
Well, you know, Crawford is a very exceptional defensive back and punt returner and kickoff returner. On that one there, though, when you get down around the 10-yard line and get a ball and they're closing in on you and you know there's no place to go, that twisting and turning could get that ball fumbled away, and that would be critical in that area. It's better off to take your licking and go down to the ground and live to fight another day.
1st and 10 from the 11. Swinging it out to John Henry White. Out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Taken out of bounds by Don Moon. Don Matthews, the rookie head coach of the BC Lions. He signed his contract with the Leos on the 4th of January, 1983.
John Henry White right out in the flat. Watch the orange jerseys coming in front of him. That just makes it impossible for that linebacker to get out there with him. That gets him open. DeWalt gets him the ball. Big game.
And again, Ron, it's a matter of the BC Lions taking what's available and going to White, and also going to that other back out of the backfield, and that's important at this stage of the game because they're not getting into them short receivers.
2nd and just a little more than 1. The second man through, John Henry White should have the first down. 17-8. The BC Lions lead the Toronto Argonauts with 4:47 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The indication is a first down for the BC Lions.
Well, what a difference when that White is in there. Earlier in the season, he was out for a couple games with an injury, but he means just as much to BC as Germany means to that Edmonton team.
And how the Edmonton Eskimos missed the veteran Jim Germany this year. Penalty flag on the play. DeWalt setting up, looking for John Pancratz. And I believe that's the first time this afternoon that he's gone to John Pancratz.
I don't remember any other ones. I think he was trying to fool him and get Fernandez on a stop and then let him go deep, but Toronto was sitting back there waiting on him.
Referee Lauren Woods. Threw the flag against quarterback Roy DeWalt. So it will be, or I should say against Ned Armour, so it will be 2nd and 10 as the penalty is declined.
That's another one of those cases, Ron, probably they got to get up there and determine who the receivers on that. If he wasn't near that line of scrimmage, they'll call it.
John Henry White. Out of bounds, first down. Six-yard gain on the pass to John Henry White, and they have used him so often in this role.
Oh, you see him out there like he's going to block Leo then. He sneaks across. It's impossible for that linebacker to run with him.
That's exactly what it was, Bob. Nicholson had him man for man. He stepped up and then came across the grain and just outran Nicholson. And again, they're utilizing their offense to its fullest extent because with Chapdelaine and DeBreeze and the people that they've had in there from time to time, and even Armour with injuries or whatever reason that he was out, they're not the football team that they have been in the offensive threat with their wide receivers, so they're using their backs and doing everything they have to do, and it's a real good design that they're using.
Well, there's an injured Toronto Argonaut down about the 12-yard line, and that's the reason for the delay as trainer Freddie Dunbar tends to the injured player. Bobadilovich has to be concerned. His name came into this game as the favorite in the eyes of many people on the basis of their previous Grey Cup experience, the fact that they compiled the best overall record in the CFL this year. However, the BC Lions have physically taken it to them so far.
I tell you one thing that we haven't mentioned here this afternoon, Don, that I think might be critical, and that is when you come back and win one in the last 27 seconds against an arch rival like Hamilton, it could have taken a lot out of them.
It'll swing past the Strong this time. He keeps on fighting. He lost the football. Toronto is recovered. Carl Graisley comes up with the ball as Hank Galisic shouts encouragement from the bench. So the Argos take over again in BC territory, and Grey Cup 83 from BC Place in Vancouver returns in a moment.
You take charge, people. Take
next truck.
Take it.
Well, the Toronto Argonauts had an interception by Carl Graisley to give them field position. They now get a fumble recovery by Graisley as the ball is stripped from Ray Strong.
No doubt about it, the ball came loose. Another big break for the Argonauts. And again, they're deep, you know, they're in the other side of that halfway mark. That's all you want. They're on the 47-yard line.
Another time, Graisley just out-muscled him and took the ball right out of his hand.
First and 10, the Argos are at the 48 of the BC Lions. Joe Barnes completing to Cedric Minter at the 30. Larry Crawford brings him down at the 29. You know, so far, gentlemen, this has been somewhat reminiscent of last Sunday's Western Final, where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers squandered so many scoring opportunities.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think Cedric Minter coming out of that backfield. Watch him go down. Now he's going to come into the middle. Good move. He look at the...
he's got a little bit of running room in there, and run.
Cushion. He was away from that defensive back, makes that catch.
The ball between the 28 and the 29. First and 10. The handoff to Cedric Minter. He was hit almost immediately by Glenn Jackson.
Well, you know, Glenn Jackson is a directional player out there today. He's got a brace on the knee, and really he can't change directions. He can come real tough in one direction, that's right in after the quarterback, but he can't make too many moves one way or the other, and he just made a great play on that. He's all heart.
2nd and 7. The ball just nudging the 25-yard line. 3:42, the time remaining in the third quarter. Barnes is in trouble. The pass incomplete. Kerry Parker almost picked it off. It was intended for Townsend. Kevin Konar was the man in pursuit of Joe Barnes, and Kerry Parker almost picked off the pass.
Well, you got to give that BC Lions defense a lot of credit. They are well disciplined. They fooled them with the blitz. They came late. Barnes couldn't do anything about it. Watch Konar come up there. The heat is there.
You know something, Ron, another thing to take into consideration here, it could be the team that's the better condition that's going to win this ball game. I'll tell you, BC has been going 100% since the beginning of the ball game, and the Argonauts have looked a little sluggish. Now, I don't know whether it's the emotional letdown from last week or the plane trip out here or what, but they better get their act together here in a hurry.
Hank Olisic has missed both field goal attempts so far. This one will come from 32 yards out. Dan Carinci holds, and listen to the crowd noise. They're attempting to distract Hank Olisic and the Argonaut offense. Tremendous crowd noise down there as referee Lauren Woods confers with the players.
They're concentrating all their attention on trying to get on Olisic and really rattle him. Boy, if Carinci came up here and run a big field goal, I think you'd find somebody wide open.
This time, it's wide again. In the end zone, Larry Crawford concedes another point. Well, that's 3 times now. Hank Olisic has had an opportunity to split the uprights. He's missed on all 3 attempts.
Well, that's the difference between 9 points and 3 points. That's critical at this stage of the ball game.
Now Bob Obilovich has to be concerned with not only the way his offense is not getting across the goal line, but with the kicking game as well. 9 points would have made a big, big difference on that scoreboard. However, on those wide field goal attempts, the Argos could only get 2 points. One was run out by Larry Crawford, so it's now 17-9 with 1:33 remaining in this third quarter. Walt swings it out to Strong. Strong fought back to the line of scrimmage and not much further as he's brought down there by William Mitchell.
They tried to get some blockers out there, but boy, I'll tell you, the Argonaut defense really rallied on that one. There was about 3 white shirts right in the position where he couldn't cut back and get any yardage.
Well, you see Rick Moore, he rushes the passer. As soon as that ball's thrown, he'll get out there. Then it's up to that outside guy to turn it back into him.
That's right.
Ned Armour is wide to the right. Fernandez comes out to the left on 2nd and about 9.5. Sideline pattern intended for Chapdelaine. He was being covered by Wilson. So the BC Lions are forced into a punting situation. In this second half, in the third quarter, the Toronto defensive unit has done an excellent job in stymieing the BC offense.
Well, they're 2 fine defenses, Leo. I don't think it's a surprise.
Yeah, field position, you know, Ron, means so much. And as long as they can keep BC down in that area right there and make them kick out, they're going to get the ball not too far from midfield. And their whole repertoire is wide open for the Argonauts to use.
Again, as our confrere Pat Marsden pointed out in the first half, as Lou Pasaglia fumbled the snap back from center. They're not booing Lou, they're cheering Lou, Lou, Lou. This is Carl Bracely, and what a ball game he has played so far as he works on those special teams in addition to playing that defensive halfback spot. And he has an interception and a fumble recovery. I think that fellow was outside my room last night about 3 in the morning.
I think he got in there.
The ball between the 48 and 49. The Argos, for every offensive series in this second half, have had excellent field position.
Boy, you got to take advantage of that sooner or later. They can't even get the field goals.
This should be the final play of the third quarter.
equipment. It looks like he's chopping wood.
And so, at the end of the third quarter, the score is BC 17, Toronto 9. And Grey Cup 83 continues after this. Well, statistically, the Argos have narrowed the gap, but they have been unable to put the big points on the board. In the third quarter, they have been forced to settle for 2 single points on wide field goals by Hank Olisic. And to start the fourth quarter, it will be 2nd and 17 back on the 41-yard line. Now let's join Brian Williams.
Don, the clocks have gone haywire here at BC Place. Referee-in-chief Phil Fry says they will be timing it from the bench by hand here at the sidelines. The clocks are down. Now he's pointing back up. It looks like maybe they're coming back in. They're not sure, so we're going to have a bit of a delay here.
Well, there was some problem with the scoreboard earlier. It did not register the 8th point for the Argonauts for quite some time. Hank Olisic playing in his 7th consecutive Grey Cup game. He has been on a winning team on 5 straight occasions. That, of course, with the Edmonton Eskimos. A big second down play to start the fourth quarter. For Talbert, incomplete. Almost picked off by Billy McBride.
Third down.
It just looks to me like the Argonauts are grab-bagging it a little bit now. They got off to that good start in the third quarter. But we did a game about 3 weeks ago. Remember, Ron, when they had about 6 or 8 different variations of screen passes and used the entire offense and really had the defense on the go. They don't look like they have any consistency with what they're doing right now, and it's showing. And as they go, BC builds confidence every moment.
Larry Crawford, the only punt return man back for this third down kick by Hank Olisic. Crawford takes it at the 23. And he's brought down by Mike Hamelick. Well, Rod McInnes, the chairman and the chief executive officer of Carling O'Keefe Breweries, will be presenting automobiles to the outstanding players in today's game. New Pontiac Fiero sports cars will go to the outstanding defensive player, the outstanding offensive player, and the Canadian player of the game. Now, should the same individual be chosen for 2 of those awards, a car plus a complete Panasonic home entertainment center will go to that individual. Ray Strong trying to get outside, fighting off the tackle of Carl Brazeley for almost 10 yards.
Boy, he's doing a real good job, Ron, of starting up to the off-tackle spot and then sliding to the outside and outrunning the defenders on the outside. And if they give up that contain on him, he's able to turn the corner on him one of these times.
Boy, he's a good running back. That's what the good running backs do, Leo. We're going to get a good look at it. Watch Ray Strong, number 34, just start to his left. Now he's going to run wherever he finds daylight. Good speed to get outside. Brazeley has a heck of a time getting him down.
Back to the live action, 1st and 10. Strong again, picking up about 2 yards as he fights to the 41. He's stopped there by Rick Moore. 13-12, the time remaining in the ball game. 17-9, the BC Lions lead it.
There's one of your old players, Ron.
Second and 8 from the 41. DeWalt's in trouble. He's dropped back at the 30. James Curry was the first to make contact with him, and then he got some help from Rick Moore.
James
Interesting
Curry.
that the 2 defensive ends both started in the CFL with the BC Lions.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. James Curry is a friend of DeWalt's. Kind of picked him up after he knocked him down there and said, you know, it's all in the game, Roy. I didn't mean to hurt you. But I think he had a hold of his, well, I don't know about his face mask, but he certainly had a hold of his headgear.
As I said, Curry started the year with the BC Lions, went to the Montreal Concord for a brief spell, and then was picked up by the Toronto Argonauts. Here he is playing in a Grey Cup game. Zaglia's kick fielded by Carl Brazeley. Brazeley spins to the 45. 12:18 is the time remaining in the third quarter. It's 17-9. BC leading, and Grey Cup 83 from Vancouver returns in a moment. Grey Cup 83 live from the stadium at BC Place. Joe Barnes late in the first half replaced Conrad Holloway at quarterback for the Argonauts. He started very, very quickly, hitting on 3 consecutive passes, but since then he has had problems solving that BC defensive unit. First and 10. The Argos at the 46. Again, Barnes is in trouble. He gets the pass away. John Palizzetti made the catch back at the line of scrimmage, but it was Rick Clausen and Reuben Vaughn who were pressuring the Toronto quarterback. And Ron Lancaster again. I'm amazed at the way this front four has manhandled that Argo offensive line.
Well, they've done it since the opening whistle. You know, you think sooner or later they're going to start wear down a little bit. It looks the other way around. You know, they've gathered momentum, and they're
they
tough.
sure have. They say all a good defensive man is take 2 steps and throw a fit. Well, they're all throwing fits.
For Terry Greer. First down at the BC 42.
Watch Terry Greer, Leo. He goes down right on the sidelines, and then he curls back into the inside, into the hole, and Barnes finds him. Watch him come on in there. Now, he sees the opening. Barnes sees him. Great catch. Good throw.
They mark that ball at the 43. First and 10. 10:57, the time remaining. Barnes looking for Cedric Minter. It was deflected by Kevin Konar. The linebacker had taken the big drop.
Boy, he sure did.
Defending.
He sure did, and they're getting great pass rush. As we've said over and over, Classen came from the outside. Barnes stepped up, but Konar was 12, 15 yards deep.
I'll tell you, there's a big advantage. Konar is normally an outside guy, but he's playing in there in the middle. But the big advantage is that outside linebackers normally are better pass defenders, and he's getting a real good deep drop on it. He's in a position to pick one off.
Second and 10 from the 43. Will they be going after him this time? Here they come. He dumps it off to Cedric Minter. Out of bounds at the 35-yard line, forced out by Larry Crawford. Now, decision time for Bob Obilovich. Let's see where they place the ball. Well, they place it at the 36, so I don't think there's going to be much of a decision. He'll send in the field goal unit.
You better send the field goal unit in today.
Here comes the noise again. Every time they start that screaming and yelling, Carinci looks at the officials as much as to say, what are you going to do about it? He has about as much luck with those officials as I used to have. I walked in the restaurant the other night, there was an official sitting there. When I walked past him, I said hello to him, and he grabbed his napkin and threw it on the floor.
Listen to this crowd noise, trying to distract Hank Alyssa. This time it's good. A 43-yard field goal by Hank Alyssa. And it's now 17-12. The Lions leading. This is Grey Cup 83 from Vancouver.
Go get him.
Man for man all the way along the line there.
So now with 10:13 remaining in the ball game, it's first and 10. The BC Lions at their own 35. They lead it by 5. DeWalt, under pressure, gets it away to Ned Armour. A pickup of about 3 yards.
You know, the onus right now is on the BC Lions. They've got to get the ball down there, and they've got to at least put Pasaglia to work and get some points out of him. Because the Argonauts are sneaking up on them, and even if they only got 1 point 3 times and then a field goal, that's 6 points. They've got to get down the other end of the field and get some points themselves.
Roy DeWalt has now completed 24 of 36 pass attempts for 280 yards. Dumping it off for John Henry White, incomplete. He had to get rid of it in a hurry as James Curry was going after him.
He had no chance. That ball, he didn't take a second and a half to try to get rid of it and still didn't have time.
Well, James Curry looks like a guy that needs a car. He's made some real good plays, and he's going to have to get some consideration for the defensive player. While we got time here, this program is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
Say, Leo, this is your day. You got that on 2 networks. Good kick by Pasaglia. It takes the bounce, and Carl Bracely fields it at the 15 and then steps out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Freddie Dunbar, the Argonauts trainer, is working on Earl Wilson.
You just tell Earl Wilson, make a wish.
Earl Wilson out of the University of Kentucky, Bubba as he is nicknamed by his teammates. He's the only member of that Toronto front 4 who was with the team last year.
You know what Bubba means in Southern dialect? That means brother.
Joe Barnes may decide to run this one. He's got a first down out to the 40-yard line, tracked down by Rick Clausen.
See, that's the one thing that both Barnes and Conrad Holloway have. That, for example, last week when Clemens went down against these same BC Lions, John Huffnagel, who went in there and scored a touchdown for them, but he doesn't have the ability to run. But back-to-back, both of these quarterbacks can run. Watch Joe right here step up on the inside, look downfield, and say, heck, I can get a first down here.
59,345, a total sellout at the stadium at BC Place for Grey Cup 83 with 7:57 remaining in the ball game. Barnes for Greer. He's got no. He could not hang on. It was juggled, deflected by JoJo Heath, and then juggled by Greer. He couldn't hang on.
Boy, that JoJo Heath hates to have that happen to him, Ron. You know how bad he hates to miss that interception. But it almost turned into a touchdown for the Toronto Argonauts. If Greer could have held it, he had a lot of room going down the sideline.
This is their basic pattern. He turns the inside. Now he comes out, but watch JoJo Heath.
Oh,
he's got it. Now Greer's got it. Now nobody's got it.
Well, it's a great job of playing the ball by Heath, though. It's a good thing McBride was there.
It's 2nd and 10. The ball at the 40-yard line. By Matt Miller, he continues on up to the 40, the line of scrimmage, but the play is whistled down.
Boy, Joe Barnes tried everything to do something with that football, but 3 defenders corralled him, and there was no way that he could get anything off with it.
4-man rush. Rick Clausen and the defensive end, Brent Reset, come upfield and force Barnes right into those 2 big guys, and those big guys get hold of you. They don't let go.
The outside guys get the depth, cut off the sprint outs and the rollouts and things like that. And those inside guys just get right on those guards and just take everything downfield.
Well, not many people expected Joe Barnes to see much action in Grey Cup 83. They thought that Conrad Holloway would go all the way. Joe Barnes, actually, in a conversation I had with him yesterday, didn't anticipate seeing much action. But the Argonaut coaching staff opted to make the change late in the 2nd quarter, and Barnes has gone all the way here in the 2nd half. Joe Barnes playing in his 5th Grey Cup game. He previously saw Grey Cup action with the Montreal Alouettes. He was on a winning team back in 1977 as a Simon Fraser product. Tony Antunovic was shaken up on that last play. 3rd down and 11. Good high kick by Elisic. Crawford fields it at the 22. And he goes back inside the 20-yard line with 7 minutes remaining. 17-12. The Argos will be first and goal when we return. Grey Cup 83 from Vancouver returns in a moment.
That makes my pregame.
O'Keefe's Extra Old Stock.
Pass to Paul Pearson. Leo Cahill, you've done it again. In our pregame show, you said that Pearson could be the hero. First and goal from the 3. Barnes, Minter, touchdown!
Don, right now, the thing that the Argonauts have got to think about is possibly going for the 2. 1 point isn't going to do them that much good right now. They go for 2 right now, and it makes the BC Lions kick a field goal to tie.
Well, watch Minter in motion. Everybody goes inside, he goes outside. It's a pick, anything you want to call it, but it's a touchdown on the board.
I don't know who was covering him on there because it didn't look like anybody was picked off or anything. It just didn't look like they had anybody on him.
I know one thing, the gentlemen burdened with the responsibility of choosing the stars of this game have their work cut out for them. There have been stars on both sides of the ball wearing the double blue of the Toronto Argonauts and the orange and white of the British Columbia Lions.
They're going for 2, Leo. You're exactly right. 1 point does them absolutely no good.
They got to get 2 points here to make the BC Lions try to tie them with a field goal.
2:44 is the time remaining. The 2-point conversion attempt. Barnes throwing for Terry Greer, incomplete. Greer was being covered by JoJo Heath, so the score holds. Toronto 18, the BC Lions 17.
Well, get ready for a real finish here because now it's up to the BC Lions to do what they have to do and get down close enough to give the best kicker in football a chance to get a shot at it, and 3 points puts them ahead.
Well, you know, so many people in analyzing this game said that one of the advantages the Argonauts had is the 2 quarterbacks. If Holloway had problems, Barnes could come in and do the job, and indeed he has.
Well, he come out right here and
watch him hit. I watched him after he threw the ball.
Where is it? Is there anybody at all on Minter?
There's a guy laying on the ground back there that's probably supposed to cover him. He never had a chance.
That's who it was. You're right. The linebacker came across and was knocked down on the way past.
For the first time this afternoon, the Toronto Argonauts are in front, but just by a single point with 2:44 remaining. Hank Alisic preparing to kick off. Strong, Crawford, and Billy McBride are deep for the BC Lions. It's going to go out of bounds. They'll kick off again. You know, while we have a moment, we've had tremendous cooperation from a number of people here at the stadium at BC Place. Our thanks go to Bob Hunter, the operations manager, Debbie Middleton operating the scoreboard, and Rick Moles, the engineer. Now let's go down to Brian Williams.
Joe Barnes, did you change anything on that last drive?
No, we just go. He thought they're playing a lot of zone. We just tried to hit the seams in the zone. That's all we're trying to do.
Patience has been the key for you.
That's been a real key. You know, it's what a quarterback has to have is patience.
All right, Joe.
All right, Joe, have a little patience. He has patience with everybody but commentators.
So now the Argonauts will kick off again, this time from the 40-yard line. 31 years it's been since the Argos last sipped champagne from the Grey Cup. Alisic booms it into the end zone, and that's where Crawford starts out from. And he is stopped at the 17-yard line by William Mitchell. Here's another fellow who's had a big ball game for the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, they've got their work cut out for them right now. They've got a long way to go, but a couple good completions right here will get Pasaglia where he has to be.
Big thing right now is the Toronto Argonaut defense has really done the job the second half. They've got the offense field position. They finally got the lead. They're being called on once again right now.
The injured player is Gordon Elser. Don Matthews, the rookie head coach of the British Columbia Lions. He was looking for his 6th consecutive Grey Cup triumph. He may, in fact, still get it. He had 5 in a row as an assistant to Hugh Campbell with the Edmonton Eskimos. And Bob Obilovich, Coach of the Year in 1982. He would like to cap his 1983 season with a Grey Cup triumph. He led the Argonauts to the best overall record in the Canadian Football League, 12 wins and 4 losses. The first time any team in the East has posted that fine a record.
Well, I'll tell you, we said we had the 2 best football teams in the country. I think that's been proven. We knew the 2 defenses were very equal coming in. That's been proven. But the key has been Roy DeWalt so far, in that, especially the first half when he kept the ball away from him. But that Argonaut defense is big, and they've got to be big right now.
Well, they've played together as a unit about as well as any team in Canada. I think we've got the 2 best defenses in Canada on the field right now, too, Ron. And it's just going to matter as far as the BC Lions are concerned. They're going to have to just show the patience that Joe Barnes did and get themselves in a position. They can't try to go for it all.
University of Calgary product Gordon Elzer is helped off the field. 1st and 10. The Lions are at their own 18-yard line. DeWalt to Fernandez at the 30. First down.
Who else?
2:30, the time remaining.
You know, all afternoon, they've been able to push off with Fernandez and get the ball in there short. And that's the kind of a patience play right there that'll get them down the field. Because you know that that defensive deep back is going to be playing off that number 24.
7 catches for 129 yards for Fernandez. DeWalt dumps it off to Strong. He's hit immediately by Ken McEachran. Don Nolan was putting pressure on quarterback Roy DeWalt, and Ray Strong took a hit as he tried to turn upfield from Ken McEachran.
Well, Ken McEachran came to this side of the field. He was going to help out on anything coming back inside, and then he saw the throw, and he came in a hurry. Watch DeWalt get in trouble, Leo, and watch him dump the ball, and you'll see 24 come into the picture in a hurry.
It looked like Strong may have gotten hurt on this play here. He's holding his knee, which will probably bring Donnie Taylor into the ball game.
2:13 is the time remaining. Toronto leading British Columbia 18-17. Don Taylor will be coming into the ball game for at least 1 play to replace Ray Strong. You'll see, just as he turns, there's the hit by McEachran, and that is the type of thing that does damage to the knees.
Boy, not only that, but he had his head stuck right in the ground, too.
Ray Strong was a late season addition to the British Columbia Lions, one of several players that Don Matthews has been able to add to the BC roster this year out of the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. The coaching ties a couple of his assistants had to that school undoubtedly helped in the recruiting.
It always does. You got to know, and when you've been there, you've seen them, and it always helps.
Well, when they go off the field holding the one leg up without being able to put any pressure on it, it's a pretty good indication that they won't be back.
Well, Ray Strong in this hard-hitting ball game is being helped off to the BC bench. Gord Elzer of the Argonauts was shaken up earlier. Freddie Dunbar doing some taping on Elzer, and it looks as though he might be ready to go back in the ball game. Now, a big 2nd down conversion coming up. 2nd and 6. The ball at the 34.
Has been unreliable all year, Ron, and it's just fitting that they should be getting the ball into people like Pankratz and Paul Pearson.
Well, watch John Pankratz. He'll go down. He's looking. He sees the hole to the inside. DeWalt threw this ball really early. Pankratz makes the big catch and gets that 1st down.
1:53 is the time remaining. The Lions at their own 45. DeWalt fires the pass complete for about a gain of 6 yards to Jacques Chapdelaine, but there is a penalty flag, and I think it is going to be holding against BC. Well, the British Columbia Lions trying desperately to at least get within the field goal range, perhaps even the punting range of Lou Pasaglia, and force overtime.
BC 63. First down repeated.
That moves the ball back to the 35-yard line. Don Swaffer guilty of the holding. A single point, of course, would tie it. We could see overtime, a field goal or a touchdown would win it for the BC Lions. 1:44 is the time remaining. Incomplete, intended for Pancratz again. So now it's 2nd and 20.
He made the right read. That middle opened up. Pancratz come in there, but the ball was thrown behind him.
Well, most of the pre-game prediction indicated that it would be a close, hard-fought football game, and that's exactly what it has been. It's fitting that the Grey Cup game should be a thrilling encounter, like the East and Western Finals, the East and West semifinals this year.
Well, the way this clock looks right now, it looks like if they don't make it on this down here, they'll have to go for it.
DeWalt throwing deep for Chapdelaine. Incomplete. He was being covered by Darrell Wilson.
You got to be a little bit lucky. Jacques Chapdelaine played that as well as you can, and Wilson just turned around, looked up, and threw his hands up in the air and hit the ball.
Well, they got Pasaglia in there, which indicates that they're going to punt the football. The Argonauts with a first down here can wrap it up.
It just slipped out of the hands of the rookie, Jacques Chapdelaine. He went to school at Sherbrooke and Simon Fraser. He was their #1 draft pick in 1983.
1:32 done. You have to kick the football. You got to do it.
You have to kick the ball, hope for perhaps a break, and then count on your defensive unit to hold. High snap. Pasaglia did a good job of hauling it down. Big kick. Brazeley goes back to his own 17-yard line. And making sure he hangs onto the ball, he gets out to the 22. He's stopped there by Ryan Potter.
Well, they got another chance, Ron, with the 1:21 left. They've got a timeout they can call, and they could get the football back again. The Argos get a first down, though. It could be bad.
Oh, they got to get the first down if you're an Argonaut fan, but I'll tell you what, are you going to throw it?
No, they're not going to throw it, I wouldn't think, down here, but Joe Barnes, you know, you had him, and you know that he's going to take what they give you, and he's got a lot of courage.
And Joe Barnes is going to do whatever it takes, and if he needs to throw it, he'll throw it.
That's what I feel, too.
1:21, the time remaining. The clock will not start until the ball is snapped. There's the handoff to Cedric Minter, and he drives to about the 32. That took the clock down to 1:18.
Would you say that this next down would be about the most important play of this game?
Sure is.
18-17. The Argonauts lead the Lions. Joe Barnes.
No substitutes coming in from the sidelines with plays either. I think Pavlo Vilovich is saying, Joe, you've been around a long time. It's up to you.
He signaled it.
He did send it.
Yeah, they called them both on the sidelines, and he signaled.
A key second down play here. Barnes is going to run it. He'll get the first down. Was that a sigh of relief on the part of Pavlo Vilovich?
I tell you what, that Barnes isn't tough enough, is he? Watch him turn upfield on that one.
I don't think there was any thought in his mind about throwing the football. I think he just ran that bootleg action. If somebody was wide open, he probably would have given off to him. But he said, I've got enough confidence in my running ability that I'll get it myself.
Watch him. There's no doubt what he's going to do with this football.
Watch him go get it.
Said, get out of my way, fellas.
Joe Barnes out of the Texas Tech School. Hands off that time as Cedric Minter gets back to the line of scrimmage with 34 seconds remaining. Barnes involved in the oil drilling business back in the United States. In that last play, he hit a real gusher, didn't he?
Well, I'll say.
Well, there's still some football to play with 34 seconds up there, but I can just imagine what the reaction in Toronto is. It's been a long time coming. If they can bring that Grey Cup back to Toronto, they'll be dancing in the streets.
Conrad Holloway, the man most expected would be the Toronto Argonaut hero this afternoon. However, he was unable to get that offense in gear. Joe Barnes came in, and what a job he has done. And this is Cedric Minter, and he has injured a knee, it would appear.
Gee, that'd be awful if he got a serious injury here with maybe the third last play of the ball game.
I think he just banged it on the ground.
No, he's all right. He's walking off.
He got tackled and went down. He just landed on it hard. He's okay.
He's fine.
They don't need him anymore. 34 seconds. Clock doesn't start till the snap because of the timeout, but
it's 2nd and 10. Carinci is in there. He and Palizzetti in the running back positions. 34 seconds the time remaining. Barnes rolling out to his right, being chased by Clausen. And Clausen is the man who finally caught him. Barnes was looking downfield, but you saw the experience there, Ron. He was not about to throw it away.
no, he wasn't throwing. He was just running a little bootleg action to try to get all those defensive linemen out there and clear the other side for him. I think right now we'll see a delay of the game penalty here, and that'll move it down to about 7 seconds, and then they'll hope that they can punt it and end it.
3rd and 17 from the 32.
Well, you know, a play right here, if they get Pasaglia, as good an athlete as he is in the ball game as a punt returner, he can run it upfield and punt it and try to get it in there for the point.
Yep. I think that's what they need to do. They need to get him on there and have him field this punt, because they're going to, I know they got to take too much time. They got to take 20 seconds.
Well, the seconds are ticking away. We're down to 19. And you can rest assured that Hank Olisic will take just as long as possible. Well, he takes it down to 10. They were going after the block. The kick to Larry Crawford at the 25. He's going to try and get out of bounds. Will he? He's out with 1 second left. 1 second remains. Crawford trying desperately to get out of bounds. The Argonauts were able to take that clock down to 10 before Hank Olisic kicked it away for 55 yards.
What do you do here? You know what? Here's something to think about. Put Pasaglia in there to slot back, have them wide receivers clear. Try to hit him in the hole and turn around and kick it.
That's right. You got to get him and try to get him for about a 20-yard gain and then just punt the ball on the run.
And he'll get a good bounce on the artificial turn. They got to do something.
No, they're not going to do it. So you can bet that they're going to go to number 24.
This is the old Hail Mary. It's coming over here. 3 guys on one side.